back to the UK Thrashers radio show, home of Moshing the Roof On. In this week's episode, we catch up with Yorkshire black and crossover band Sidewinder and fill the show full of crossover thrash. Let's go. That was Southwest crossover band Overpower and their self-titled release, Overpower. Okay, next up from Glasgow, from their Prayers Won't Save You EP, this is Kingpin and this is Ignorant.
Take
Next up, we catch up with this week's band interview. This time we go to Yorkshire and we meet up with Black and Crossover Noisemongers. This is Sidewinder.
Stop what you're doing! Come on, listen to me! You can thrash metal! Do it! Come on! Do it! Come on! You can... Yes! Do it! Come on! It's brilliant! Do it! Headbang! La, 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 la. Hey, this is Jones from Sidewinder. You're listening to the UK Thrashers Radio Show.
Okay, this week in the virtual studio, we welcome Sidewinder. Welcome to the show, guys.
Yeah, mate, how we doing?
Mate.
Right, do you want to go round and introduce yourselves, what you do in the band and your missing member?
Wowzers, let's talk about our missing member first. The master splinter of the group, Matthew Finn.
Due to Matt's advanced stage, he's currently shielding from coronavirus. In his care home in his one control flat.
In his care home? 43 years younger.
That's it.
Poor old soul.
I'm Jonesy. I play guitar in Sidewinder.
Yeah, I'm Ginge. I'm other guitarist, the lesser guitarist.
I'm Gareth. I'm drummer.
I'm Gol, aka Captain Shagwell, and I'm the face of the band and unfortunately the vocalist as well.
The face
Can't
of
give
the
yourself
band.
your own nickname, you know, you bellend. You done well like that.
Yeah, they get to be chosen, not bloody giving yourself.
We'll call that one dropping a gollock.
For those people who haven't heard the band, do you want to kind of describe your sound? What people can expect when they crank up the volume?
Everything we've ever liked that we've listened to in heavy metal regurgitated in our own way.
Yeah,
What a
correct.
fucking brilliant answer. Well done.
Yeah.
You've been rehearsing that, Gaz?
Yeah, I'm a fan of that.
That's like when you're doing like your GCSE maths or something. It's like, you know, when you find X and show your findings, he's like got like full 3 points to that, and it's covered all there.
It's so hard to think about this so often. It's almost that cliched question, what do you sound like?
Go to
It's like,
Spotify and listen.
Yeah, go and listen to us, mate. That's the way.
Just want to listen to, want to bang my head to. That's what we play. Just try and play stuff that we want to bang our heads to, and hopefully other people like it and want to bang their heads to it too.
We wanted to be in a band with the name beginning with S because we wanted to be around Suicidal, Sepultura and Slayer. So there you go. That's exactly what it is. To me, it's a mix of the three. But it's not. It's a bit more northern than that, innit, to be honest.
There is, yeah.
How do you guys all meet? How do you get together as a band?
Fucking Snooty Fox in Wakefield.
Yeah, Snooty Fox in Wakefield, R.I.P. R.I.P.
We were talking about this other day actually, before we came on here. It's very, very weird, man. Like Jonesy used to be in a band with Gol. Gaz used to be in a band. They had a promo. Gaz used to do Thrash Town for a little label in Wakey and put gigs on and that. And they used to put my old band on because I'm Babby at group.
And then Golic started running it with me. Not to let him forget that because he put a lot of effort in when I was just getting really tired of it.
Hard to run it, it's a one-man operation, innit?
Yeah, just the scene were dying, and I just watched all these emo bands take over, and I was kind of jealous of how everyone just went to that, and I just could never understand the music, you know, the haircut metal, and I've been impressed by some of the musicianship, but I was just like, why do they sing like that? And everyone was moving to that, and the thrash scene was dying, and just like a little part of my soul did as well.
Kind of Snooty Fox and kind of your local area, the scene at one point was probably one of the most bustling scenes in the UK. You know, it was definitely a stop on every kind of band's tour and, you know, the festivals that were going on. What did happen?
Well, yeah, definitely. We had like all days called like Full Thrash Assault, and I remember them from being a kid. Got to that, and like Gals put on like all days called Gal Stock and stuff like that with Thrash Town. And it's like, you know, had these bands coming from fucking all over, like Nebuchadnezzar and River Freshney from London and stuff like that. And a Circle of Tyrants from Glasgow, where like,
yeah, well remembered.
So felt quite privileged, you know, be like, I'd have been like more, maybe 15, 16 year old, you know, and on your weekends in summer, go down to Snooty Fox and just be able to go and watch all these bands just playing live on your doorstep. It's fucking, you know, it's brilliant, fantastic.
They were an awesome show on every week. It were every single week there were an awesome thrash show on. It were like the home of it.
Yeah, not only that, but we also kept the punks. You know, we always included punk because we always liked that faster punk style, and we suffered with what we later read that like our hero bands suffered with. You know, my hero band Slayer, they suffered with the metal kids and the punk kids having like a little bit of a disagreement at the time about whether you could like them or not.
And at the time, there weren't really such thing as what there is at the moment, like with the crossover scene. It's just gone mental. Absolutely crazy this last couple of years. It's just amazing. The level of bands that are around in the UK at the moment, it's just fucking out of this fucking world, man. It's amazing.
We have the internet to thank for that. I'm sure about.
I was gonna kind of touch on that. You know, the Jonesy and I were talking the other day, and the scene now is probably closer than it's ever been. Is that, you know, the crossover bands, and it's probably, you know, some of that's come over from the States, your kind of Municipal Waste and all that sort of stuff as well. But you know, that kind of...
Mate, that band lit a fire under my arse when I was 14-year-old. They were the band I was looking for.
We were already writing stuff in a similar... I mean, it's hard when a band as good as Municipal Waste say we're writing similar stuff to them, because obviously we weren't as good, else we wouldn't be at the level we stayed at. But we were writing that crossover thrash, not knowing it was called crossover, not even knowing it was called thrash. That's just what we like to play.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I'm Bobby, but 10 years ago when I was playing in Carnival in my first band, we were trying to write crossover then, and we were 14-year-old. Like that, I think we were kind of blessed with that scene just starting to blow as we all kind of got into it. With, you know, your Waste coming out and stuff like that, but I always liked, you know, your DRIs, took a lot of influence from Dead Kennedys, shit like that, and you put it all together and you get this fantastic, fast, heavy music, and I think that's what we try and take from.
There's too many good things in life just to pigeonhole yourself into one, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly, and that blend's always been there. You know, you've got, if you look at like Suicidal through their history, they've gone from one extreme to the other. You know, they've gone, as you say, you mentioned DRI there, you've gone from the kind of pure out late 80s thrash of Thrash Zone, you know,
yeah,
they're all very different, but they've all followed that journey, and it kind of disappeared for a while, but it seems to have really picked up a resurgence again, and kind of, as you say, the plane's quality's gone through the roof, not just overseas, but in the UK as well.
Bless up Power Trip, they have brought so many hardcore kids into thrash scene.
Yeah,
and those boys are there, man.
What about now? What's the scene like, kind of on your doorstep at the minute?
Well,
Closed at the minute.
I remember it's that good.
The future.
Not quite this minute, but if it wasn't for COVID, what's the kind of the general? Is a lot of bands, a lot of kids, or is it...
I think because it's music so accessible and instruments are so cheap, I feel like everyone, or a lot of people who are into the music, also play that music in a band. We're almost blessed with oversaturation of bands, but in a blessed way. If we could all be bothered to go out more, we could go see a great show so often.
It's fantastic. Like that last show that we played, that all day, the quality of band, every single band on there was out of this world. I mean, you've got your Overpowers, your StoneHands, and the beauty of it is as well, it's like the length and breadth of the country. You've got bands from Glasgow, you've got bands from down in Brighton.
Dishonour the Crown.
They're fantastic. There's
Beetlejuice. Love Beetlejuice. Can't get enough of those. Grindcore that you can sing in a football style way to. Brilliant.
Man, yeah. I think it's very healthy, the scene at this point. I really do.
I think the scene in general is very healthy. I just think up here it's a bit limited. You've got your big boys in Huddersfield and Evil. Riptide are doing pretty well. You've always got Cryptic Shift, those boys over in Leeds. And fucking hell, what Stargate does over at Temple Boom. I hope that venue keeps going, man. I really do. It's like the fucking hotbed of heavy music up here.
Temple of Boom, seen some great gigs and wrestling there. Fantastic. If you're round Leeds Wakefield way and you're here at Temple Boom, you fancy checking out, you really should.
Yeah, check it out.
Should. It's like everything I imagine from American Municipal Waste style videos, you know, the gig. Nice and tight and just a
that's Ryan from Cryptic Shift.
That's the
homegrown,
guy,
isn't it? Yeah.
Legend.
So what about a little further afield? You know, where have you headed towards Manchester? You headed down towards London? What's the kind of
Neil, I'll tell you right now, we've been a band for about a year before COVID. We got like 4 shows in. This is what I'm getting at. It's bullshit. We just got absolutely fucking stopped. Flat dead.
Not on. Not on, man.
Game over. See, we're pretty new out there to people if they've never really heard of Sidewinder. So we've not been around for too long, but us boys have been playing in crossover bands for like 15 years.
Yeah, man.
We've all been in a million of bands over years.
We poured our hearts into our old bands and we had to start again.
We have. Exactly.
To get that energy back again, we just wanted to do it right this time, you know.
Well, I kind of like the premise of the whole band, wasn't it? Like, obviously, I got in touch with Paul and said I want to start playing music again. The kind of like the thing was like, obviously, his old bands died because, you know, you grow up, you get older, you get jobs, you know, kids and families and that. So, you know, playing in a band has got to sort of take a back seat, and that was kind of like part of the whole reason why Sidewinder came about. It was like, you know, a load of old boys,
Thrash.
friends.
Big up for Dad Thrash.
Dad Thrash, working class thrash. You know, just wanted to, you know, make noise and make music again. So that was the whole sort of thing of it. Yeah, so working class
It's
thrash.
funny because when Golly got in touch with me, I were jamming some guys on in Leeds. My mate Kyle from who used to be in Clone Fragile years ago, and Martin from Seymour Paramedics. We were doing some stuff, and they needed another guitar player. So Gaz came over playing guitar. Gaz used to play guitar and sing and chewing druids. We started jamming on that, and that just fell to bits for one reason or another. Mosh metal. Yeah, that fell. So then Gaz just turned around and goes, well, let's start another band, but I want to play drums. I'm like, well, I know the guy. 4 years before, me and Ginna were writing riffs, and we wrote Ashes of Reality when you were at Halls, didn't you, mate?
Yeah, I was still at uni, man. I bumped into him completely by chance while we were on his stag.
Oh, mate, fucking hell, I'm walking down an hill, and this big, beautiful ginger glow came over the fucking horizon.
And there I was.
Moroccan sunset, a beautiful.
A Moroccan sunset.
It was beautiful. I got a little tear. We ran to each other in a meadow. Beautiful.
That's into my life.
So, as you know, you kind of touching on then that, you know, the old bands formed away. You guys all ended up with different commitments over that period of time in your life when, you know, shit gets busy, when you know, popping out sprogs and trying to hold down a sensible job and all that other nonsense. Is that part of it? Is that, you know, now's time's right, you know, the kids are a little bit older, the job's a little bit more stable, and now it's time to go and do what you really love again?
Yeah, you get that fire back, don't you? Sometimes you need time off to miss things.
Yeah, definitely.
I had people say that about Shawn Michaels when he left wrestling and etc. You know, you need to miss people, you need to miss it, and then think, yes, I'm doing this again, and then learn from your old mistakes. Do
you come back to it with a new level of maturity? Do you have you approached it in a different way?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Back when we were kids, it was all about playing every gig we could in every squalor, and that was great. And I wouldn't change a thing about it. But you know, you go on the internet and you learn about how to have a bit more longevity. I dare say that use the words make a business out of it. But to do it, you know, we have to. And merchandise and buying stuff from bands, as much as we love buying stuff from bands, we're hoping we'll get the same back, and it can just keep trickling over. It's never going to be a day job, is it? But we can just have the best time doing it, and as long as it doesn't cost us.
Man, you've got to come at it with life experience at the end of the day, you know what I mean? You've got to attack it properly. You've got to have a set plan, know what you're doing. And I think we know what we're doing, but look, listen, me and Galt used to be in a band called Blood, Sweat and Beer. Our main song was called Fuck Emo Faggots. So we've come quite a long way.
Oh, you're so mature now.
To be honest.
I still stand by it. Perhaps I wouldn't broadcast it as much now because I realise that alienating folk through marketing isn't necessarily the best thing to do. But
So building on what Gaz said a minute ago, I think a big thing that's helped us when we come back to do Sidewinder is how more advanced social media is now. Obviously, back then, all we had was MySpace. It was quite a good tool for local bands because, you know, you could put your pictures on there, put a few songs, and it was quite good. Whereas now, you know, you've got Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all the rest of it. And just, you know, the whole world, even to a point of, you know, fucking Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, you know, world politics is run on social media as well now. So just to be able to capitalise on that is, I think, such a good thing. Just one thing that I did back when me and Paul were in Blood, Sweat and Beer, say if we wanted to go play a gig in a town we never played before, like, say, Norwich, for example, you'd just go on MySpace or whatever, or Facebook, and you search death metal bands or thrash metal bands in that particular town. they bring up these bands sort of websites and their pages. You just click on them, send them a message saying, "Oh, we're so and so from so band. We're looking to book a gig." And you just get some local bands, and you meet sort of friends and people in other bands, and sort of
like-minded folk and that. Aye,
Gig swaps are king. I love those.
Exactly, yeah.
I think
got a couple lined up before this shitstorm.
Yeah, so much love for the boys in River Freshney and Nebuchadnezzar, who sorted my band out back in the day. Circle of Tyrants, as mentioned before.
And
is that still happening? Is that, are you come to us and we'll come to you? Is that still kind of a thing? Or
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You have to give to receive, don't you? You have to give to receive. You have to stay to the end. Well, you don't have to, but it should just go without saying. You stay to the end of the gig. You watch all the bands. You get as front as you can, bearing in mind, how much hurt you might get and how physical your role within the band is. And if that shit makes your head bang, you try and make some noise at the front and you try and get others involved.
Well, it'd just be like Bamford leaving the match before the 90 minutes is up after scoring just one goal. You just don't get the job done, do you?
Yeah. It's like I said to you the other day, John, like musicians respect musicians. And I think as you mature, you kind of get a sense of that a bit more. Like when you're young, you're there for party, you're there to enjoy yourself. Yeah, that's cool. You don't necessarily give a shit about what's going on. As you grow up, you respect what's going on and you understand the effort that them dudes are putting in because you're doing the same.
I go get inspired at all of our gigs by all the bands who play before and after us. Whether they're it's human nature to sort of compare yourself and, because we're all, as a musician, you're a type of artist, you're trying to make yourself better, right? You see, you sort of, in a nice way, you're comparing yourself and trying to better yourself. And I'm watching these bands and I'm thinking, that was a brilliant riff, that was a brilliant breakdown, I'm loving this. And I'm going to go and apply that to my own playing for when I get home.
It's almost like comparing the competition in a way, innit? I mean, I don't want to say we're in competition with other bands, but you see what other people are doing, you think, oh, I can take something from that and, take what other bands are doing to try and, like God said, better yourself and improve yourself, really. That's not even...
It's amazing, to be influenced by your peers, you know what I mean? By people that you share a stage with. And none of us are signed. None of us are particularly going to go anywhere, realistically. Let's just all have it right. But at the end of the day, if we all play awesome tunes and we all enjoy each other's sounds and what we all bring to it and all have a bit of a party, that's what it's all about. Yeah, and that's what I've been pushing with a lot of these shows. I've talked to you about Aaron Neil with UK Crossover. I've played in probably as many hardcore bands as I've played in thrash bands over years. And Blood, Sweat and Beer was a straight up crossover band. We used to play in Drop D. We used to play Sworn Enemy riffs. That's all it was, just complete rip-off stuff and hate breed songs. That's what we used to do. God, what other song do we used to cover now? Did a couple of Municipal Waste ones as standard. But it's just what we used to do, man. It's just that's what it was. And that's what I'm so excited about at the moment. The scene has never been as unifying. Like Golik said about it not being a competition, it is not a competition. It's succeeding through everyone be coming together. It's not a competition, it's a community. And that's where it needs to be. And that's what a lot of people need to be chin-checked into fucking realising what the hell's going on out there.
We all push each other, don't we, in a friendly way?
Of course we do. You can have healthy competition, don't get me wrong. But there is a couple of dicks out there that need a fucking word like, but that's another thing. Is
it competition? Is the competition less and it's more friendly now? Because to be honest, there's no money to make it anymore. You know what I mean? If you look kind of back in the late 80s, early 90s, when there was still record deals and, you still made a fortune from selling physical. Whereas, is that why it's chilled out a bit more?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you still get a few absolute fucking choppers out there. Like
fucking people scrap over 30 quid, they will.
It's a strange one. Like, it's weird is this sort of thing, because you feel like, in a way, you feel like everything's been done before. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything has been done before, but you try and carve out that niche for each other. Like, we were talking about, other day, we were talking about Malev. Like, Malevolence have done so much for this scene. Like, and
round of applause for Malevolence. Good boys.
I mean, we don't necessarily sound like Malev, but what people need to understand is Malev have gone out there and gone, we're not hardcore, we're not thrash, we're not anything, we're Malevolence. And that is what we fucking sound like. You either dig it or you don't. And, I mean, they're massive. They're huge. They're absolutely huge. But the sad thing is, like, that's kind of... It's not a once-in-a-lifetime, but it's a once-in-a-decade band, is that?
Of course it is.
As I'm concerned.
Well, look at Evil years ago, man. How many awesome bands were around when Evil started?
Oh God, the Thrash scene then.
Beautiful Rain,
Yeah,
for Rain.
fucking brilliant.
SSS.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
SSS.
The Irish bands that got signed onto that same label.
Visceral fucking Attack.
Visceral
That's it.
Attack.
Visceral Attack, Ireland's best band, Visceral Attack.
Ever, mate.
Thank you for reminding me about Visceral Attack, because what a set of nice dudes they were, and they played some kick-ass tunes.
Yeah, that song, didn't they?
Just brilliant.
With VA Day or something like that. Fucking brilliant.
And that you was just saying then about kind of not putting yourselves in a genre. Is that why you've kind of, you know, you've tagged the Black and Crossover onto the back end of the name, which I guess really as a genre doesn't kind of exist, or it does, you know what I mean? Is that kind of why you did that, to kind of make yourself not really sit in particular anything, and it gives you that freedom?
For me, there's no specific genre that defines Sidewinder. Yeah, we're a crossover band, but we'll probably listen to more death metal than we do listen to thrash bands. But we all listen to Terror. We all listen to fucking Madball. We all listen to these New York hardcore bands. We love that scene over there. We listen to the crossover stuff that the SOD boys ended up doing.
Yeah.
Growing on that stuff. And then you get into that and you start finding other bands and other bands and other bands, getting deeper and deeper and deeper into it. One of my favourite bands at the moment is Mindforce. I cannot get over how good they are.
Excalibur.
What a fucking tune.
It's the contrast as well, isn't it? It's like men talk about Slayer, you know, we all love Angel of Death and the faster songs, Necrophobic, but you need to have a mandatory suicide in there, don't you? Just to, yeah. Have that driving beat.
We literally just started just rhyming on riffs and just trying to work stuff out. We didn't go in saying, let's start a thrash metal band. We didn't go in saying, let's start a crossover band. We just started writing tunes. And we're all progressing as musicians. Writing styles change. And can I just say, he's not in this call right now, but Master Finch, fucking
unbelievable.
Hell, that dude is incredible. Like, his bass tone could invade small nations. It is just fucking insane. Absolutely insane. He's just a genius. He did our all of our recordings. He when I got a load of fucking set up to do it all at his house.
He's our Vinnie Paul, isn't he? He's our Vinnie Paul. Man.
Yeah. He is. He's the fucking tits, man. We were a band for about a year without actually announcing that we were a band. I booked a show at Huddersfield at Parish, SummerSlam. I had Ingested playing, Shift Boys were playing, Insurgency. They were, fucking unbelievable fucking lineup of bands. I can't get over I pulled it off, to be honest. And obviously I put on us opening up our first little show. And the guy that we had playing bass at the time quit as soon as I announced it. And it was like 3 months until the show. And Gaz plays in a Slayer tribute band, War Ensemble, with Finchy. So he's like, well, I know a guy, he'll come on over. And he learned the set within like 4 days or something ridiculous. We met him 2 weeks before the show.
Well, just remember that the first practice we had as a full band with all 5 of us was the night before the show.
Yeah.
The night before the show, yeah.
It did us good though, did that, Jones? It really did. You deep-ended us, and it were like sink or swim sort of
not
moment.
Intentionally, fucking hell.
So I'd not been in a band for like 6 years before that.
No.
Because it had been 6 years since I left Masochist. And then I had 4 practices with Sidewinder, then with that first gig at Parish.
You just touched on then, do you think that, it's sometimes you just got to pop the seal and fucking go for it? Because if you could have dragged it out for another year, and you could at some point in time, if you want to be a band, you've got to actually get up and play live, haven't you? You can be practice space warriors or garage warriors for as long as you like.
Of course, man, definitely. Just jump in, ain't you?
Yeah, of course.
100%.
And
remember before that gig, like we were doing the sound check, I was like stood at the side of the stage watching you lot, plug your guitars in and set drums up and that, and I'm like, fucking hell, I'm doing this again. Like, it didn't feel real. Like, oh my God, I didn't feel ready for it at all.
Obviously at the moment you've only released 2 tracks. When and how were they recorded? Were they kind of in quite early days?
Finchy again, they were recorded over the space of about 6 weeks down at Finch's, just in his little bedroom outside, man.
The type of dude who just like, I'm going to sit and learn how to record today, and then he just did, and then like, bloody hell, it's all right, that.
Yeah, he's got no experience in it whatsoever. He's just learned from just YouTube videos and getting in contact with people and just trial and error. And we think it sounds absolutely shit up.
So did he do everything? Did he engineered, obviously, but did he master it and do the whole lot?
Absolutely everything, and he did the music video as well.
Yeah, the video's his with his expensive, stupid drone thing that terrified me. Because
That was fun.
towards
Also, not forget his Mrs. Claire. She did a lot of the filming.
Yes.
yeah, man. Finchy's done a lot for that side of this band.
Man, people kind of forget, but look, obviously Finch is a little bit older than us, but he's brought that experience to us that we needed, that extra push. Like he's so well versed in what he does. I don't want this to be a fucking jerk off competition, but he's man, like honest to God, he's I don't know what he can't do. He had a film career, Neil, at one point. He were amazing. He were only small time, but he had this move at one point, and he were taking 9 of his fucking buddies on a bit of a walk over at Moors. Can't remember what it was called now. They were returning some jewellery or something. What were it now? What were it called? You remember?
Lord at Rings.
Oh, that's the one. Aye, yeah, that's it. And he were in that other one and all with those kids when they go to school. There's one little bastard with a scar on his head that goes on about it all fucking time. It gigs.
Oh yeah, they called him Albert, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah. I think he was something to do with that and all. What was his name again?
Something to do with those Argonauts as well, wasn't it?
Oh, fucking hell, forgot about that one.
Matt and the Argonauts.
My favourite one he were in was that one down in Louisiana when he were making those duck calls.
What, you in that with him?
Bastards, he's not even here to defend himself.
No, we love him. He's an all-round, just a nice dude, isn't he?
All right, man.
Yeah, he's a king, man.
I think with like you were mentioning earlier about the maturity and stuff, he's like a voice of reason sometimes. When we all get a little bit excited and a bit carried away, thinking, "Oh, we'll do this, we'll do that."
Well, you call him Dad.
And then he just sort of is like, because he's got the age and the experience, he's a bit like
The steady head.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just brings us back down to earth a little bit sometimes.
And it's not like it's not like you guys are 15, 16-year-old kids getting fucking young, dumb, but
Joe is.
But even then, that little extra bit of maturity just kind of helps calm your jets a little bit.
Yeah, but we're still super enough though that it's fun. You know what I mean?
Most of the time, it's just the morning after gets worse.
Oh yeah. Well, ask Ginger about that.
Nah, don't ask me about that right now, mate.
You're youngest and you're fucking let inside down.
Dean, absolutely Dean.
So what's next for you guys? You working on EP album? What's the next step in the story?
In an ideal world, with all this that's going on, look, listen, it's a little bit insensitive to turn around and say that we want to do this, we want to do that when we've got to, 120,000 dead now in the UK? I've kind of stopped watching the news, to be honest. It's just getting to that certain point in it. I think a lot of people are in the same sort of boat. But in an ideal world, we'd be in studio sometime in spring. And even we're thinking about just going back to Finchy, to be honest, because he's actually improved on what he's done 6 or 7 months ago, which is amazing. The level, the stuff he's sending us now, just tinkering riffs and stuff is just fucking crazy, man, crazy. But in an ideal world, we're going there, recording an 8/9 track, if we could do, and then try to get that out for festival season, try to book a couple of shows, a couple of runs, a couple of gig swaps, some of our boys around country, and then around autumn time, looking to doing a split. But obviously, with what's going on in the world, we don't know. But we're ready to rock and roll. We've got stuff. We've got plenty of materials that we just can't wait to get out to people. Yeah, we're just itching.
Frustrating having all the material, nothing to do with it. So.
That's the struggle at the moment.
So where's the material come from? Who's the main kind of songwriter of the band?
We all do,
We all play guitar. A couple of us play drums. It's a really handy thing to have that everyone contributes, man. It's not like I'm writing guitarist because I play guitar. It's not like that at all.
Yeah, they'll come in with riffs A, B, and C, and then I'm relying on someone else to help me figure out what D and E need to be.
Exactly.
It might take us a little bit longer to actually write a song because of that, but we make sure that we are 100% happy with it before we do. You know what I mean?
Band practice for us is like having Tourette's, isn't it? You're halfway through a riff, then fucking hell, here we go.
Yeah, something else comes out. You can't help it.
And what about vocals? Who's doing lyrics?
Mainly me, but it's all equal input. Ashes that were written by Paul, he did that, and then we all like throws 2 pence in really.
And what about the kind of content? Are you Are you kind of, you said quite musically you're quite free. Are you quite free lyrically as well? Are you kind of, have you got themes that you'll stick around, or are you kind of prepared to go pretty much off piste?
For me, and I dare say Paul as well, a lot of our sort of lyrics and songs are more, rather than like, a lot of sort of thrash bands will do, songs about films or nuclear Armageddon and zombies and stuff like that. And then also your grind and death metal bands do more like political and gruesome stuff. For us, it's more about down to earth sort of our life experiences,
observations.
Yeah, like stuff that we've been like Last Orders, for example.
Observational humour.
Yeah, that's a song about the Snooty Fox in Wakefield. So the whole sort of thing of it is singing about what we know, because and I just feel you can be more.
You missed something there, pal. It's about the Snooty Fox in Wakefield that you said, but who's it narrated by?
Oh, yeah, it's narrated by what's his name? I've got his name now.
Attenborough.
That's it, David Attenborough, who does Blue Planet, Blue Earth, whatever it's called. Yeah, so Last Orders is a song about David Attenborough on a night out around Wakefield and Snooty Fox.
That'd be its own TV series, and it's fucking by itself, that thing, I tell you.
Netflix are signing up to make that as we speak.
Yeah, right. Contracts in the post, boys.
You just touched on it there. Is that kind of important to you, making sure that you don't get carried away doing, mystical fucking bullshit and dragons and spacemen and all that sort of thing?
I feel you can have more sort of passion and heart in it when it's something a bit more personal to you. Like if you're singing a song about a film, yeah, it might be a good film, but you've not lived it, you've not experienced it. I don't think. Like I say, for me, I just think you can put more into it when it's something a bit more personal to you.
Yeah, I think I like to think that I'm not good at lyrics. I'll come out and say that now.
You're not even good at speaking English.
I'm not good at speaking English.
Typical Joe sentence. Fucking hell, I hope my fucking name's fucking Joe. Like fucking.
See, like for me, there's no wrong with people doing the old fantasy thing. It's like an escapism. There's obviously Bolt Thrower did the old Warhammer thing. There's a lot of bands out there doing that sort of thing. There always has been, and it is interesting that you can kind of lose yourself in the lyrical content and the old imagery and everything. Like Inhuman Nature doing it, Acid Horror doing it. But I think we're a little bit more towards the Kingpin style, the earthy sort of way of looking at things, the more real side of looking at things. In a day, if you're writing lyrics and you're writing riffs, it's just a license to say what the fuck you want. It's just a license to speak your own mind, your own opinions, and basically be unapologetic about it. And I think that's the most freeing thing about just being in a band. Like, I think people that haven't been in the band probably won't understand it, but the camaraderie that you get is the main thing. You feel like a gang going around. But then when it's a gang against the world, it's the coolest shit in the world, man. It's the coolest shit that you could ever do. And I think being able to speak whatever you want and say whatever you want and do whatever you want to an extent.
And is that kind of, is that band, network connection, is that better now than it has been before? You've all done a lot of bands, and is it, because you're all serious about it in a better kind of headspace and want to do this properly? Does that make life easier? When you're in younger bands where it all, it was great because you just wanted to go out and drink and shag and fuck things up, but you didn't
I
really.
didn't want to shag, mate. I just wanted to listen to music.
I'm saying nothing.
I think when you, like you mentioned there about being a bit older and that, you can definitely pick out the dead wood a bit easier. It's like we've all been there. When you've been around, say you're playing a town that's not familiar to you, and you always get the bullshitters at gigs. Don't you? The guys coming over like, oh, I work for so and so radio, and I'm promoted. I'll sort you out with this, that, and the other. And it's just all fairy tales and daydreams, isn't it? So you can pick out the bullshitters like a lot sort of quicker, I think, and you can really identify who as the people actually sort of worth knowing, really.
Yeah,
and that's kind of you talked about kind of digital and Facebook and that's it. It's easier and easier to be a bullshitter in this game. Any fucking idiot can start an Instagram post and oh fuck, I'm talking about myself. It's a piece of piss. It's not hard. Any fucking 12-year-old can start a blog and post pictures of fucking album covers and talk about music and
a 12-year-old with TikTok will have more followers than all of us combined.
Yeah, without a doubt, especially if once he pushes the girls together.
Did you do that again? I missed that.
I'll send you a screenshot. Save that for the bank.
Send nudes.
No, but do you think some of these kids, even down to band, there's a few young bands down there now who are getting crazy follows, crazy Spotify hits. Do you think they approach all these things in a very different way to you guys?
Just look at Michael Jackson. He went fucking crazy, didn't he?
No thanks.
You know what I mean? That's all you've got to say on that, mate. Let's change subject straight up.
It'd be interesting to see, because I feel like in our short lifetime, the world's changed so much. With mobile phones, just basically.
Yes, I mean, I've just texted our lass to bring me a beer up to this call. It's amazing. I love technology at the moment. It's fucking amazing.
Whereas 30 years ago, Jones, you would have had a little bell.
Yeah. And then a grave in the garden.
Then his balls drops, yeah. It'd be interesting to see just how the interactions change with a more Minecraft and Instagram generation.
Yeah.
They're very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And also that kind of the difference between fans and followers.
Yes,
that whole
Definitely. But I can see it because you feel like you need a few followers to look legit, don't you? But it's not necessarily the case. Would you rather have 700 people who watch and listen and turn up, or 7,000, 70,000 and nothing?
It's weird that I'm the one now that's in the band that started booking shows, because Gaz has historically done it for years. That's how me and Gaz met years ago. And then obviously Golic started doing it. Golic, mate, you can't cut out some shows that you put on by yourself. You need some fucking belters. Remember those posters you used to do? One with Ali G?
Yeah.
Ali G is the poster. It's going to be a good show when it's Ali G on the poster. You've got to go. You've just got to go to the show.
It was making band flyers is such good fun, isn't it?
No,
Again, my favourites. Some of them band flyers from the 80s, you just think they're just brilliant. They just catch your notice, don't they? That's part of the fun of it.
I think the best one was that Full Flush Assault one from like 2013, I think. It's Snooty. The picture for the flyer, like an 80s thrash gig in black and white.
Oh, mate, I've still got the T-shirt. It's in this cupboard here outside of us. I've still got that, man. It's fucking unreal.
I've got it somewhere as well.
Yeah, we're awesome, man. Absolutely awesome. See, the thing is, it's like when you're looking at that sort of stuff. Thank you, darling. There you go. That's service, isn't it? Technology for you. Dogs here and all. Yeah, dude.
Table service.
Just you on about followers and things. The saddest thing is when it comes to people that's booking shows that don't know anything about the bands that they're booking. They might just fucking look through like what Golic were about earlier on years ago on MySpace. You look for something that's going on in the area where you're going to be going. You find a band. Simple as that. But bands these days, promoters these days, you can look like you're the real fucking deal if you've got a really cool album cover. You've got 3,000 followers on Instagram. They might all be from Vietnam. They might not all be fucking. They might all be computers. You don't know. You might not be genuine fucking people. They will be higher up the bill than someone like Blasphemer. If you're talking followers, what a fucking band. I'm sorry, we forgot those boys when we talk about the local area. I'm looking over Dewsbury out my fucking window right now. They are kings round here, man. Blasphemer are original. They are the OGs round here. They're a fucking brilliant band. But you go on their Instagram page, they've got 600 followers. It doesn't matter, man. It does not matter at all.
But that's not the all and end all, is it? But it's just a nice little. Sometimes it's a little marker. I don't know.
But I guess the difference is it's conversion, isn't it? You touched on it. Then you could have 3,000 followers and only one turns up at your show, or you could have 600 and 599 of them turn up.
Yeah, exactly.
And reading between the bullshit is quite difficult. You guys, all of you have done promotion. Do you approach that in a different way these days, or would you want to try and give out as wide a berth as possible?
Back in the day, I suppose when we had less to do and escaping work was more fun, you'd go to every gig and we'd stand outside with flyers at the end of the gig. When it's Thrash Town record label, I used to print off what was going on, and everyone that was sent out, I'd put a little flyer in and try to. It seemed quite fun and organic, but.
What about booking though, Gaz? Would you have how did you realise these bands were the real deal? So you didn't stick someone on who had one man and his dog was going to turn up and watch.
Well, that was $1 million question.
You just know when you listen to a band, you know if they're good or not. You know what I mean? I like to think I know a little bit about it. So if I listen to bands that might be unheard of and I like them, I like to think there's something about them. I've done the whole flaring thing, and it doesn't really work anymore. We're just in a digital age, aren't we? And
Junk mail, isn't it?
What's the acid rain thing? Age of entitlement. Yeah. It's just a pretty different world. Things. It's just weird how things have changed the last 10 years. I don't feel like as if. Look, I'm under 30-year-old. We're up. The average age of this band is 29, 28-year-old. We're talking like as if we're in his 50s, boys. It's just changed so fucking much. It's mental.
Yeah, man. It's amazing what a decade can do for the whole scene.
I think we're relying on each other's and word of mouth now, because it's equally as irritating as it is to get too much paper junk mail. It's very irritating to get too many, I say, Facebook invites. You know, I don't even look anymore. No offense to anyone. It's, you know, if
we're still waiting for a connection.
If my brain comprehends all the invites that I get to everything, and I could show each of my friends the right amount of attention that I'd wish to show them, I would, but it's just not physically possible. So
Guys, do you remember the old vicarage in Wakefield when you had Saturn music downstairs and Hellraiser upstairs? Then they had the snooty gig guide on the wall, didn't they?
Yeah.
So that was like a little sort of social hub. You just knew, like, you know, you had a music shop there, you had a shop upstairs that showed merch and stuff. Then you had a little flyer thing, like a little calendar showing you what gigs are on in Wakefield that week. You know, class back then.
I guess it goes further than the music community, just the community in general, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I think it goes beyond our like genre specific. Like, this is UK Thrashers. We're all thrash fans, you know. We all like the thrash metal scenes around the world. That's kind of like what we're all into. That's the thing that we've all got in common. But it comes down to like an alternative scene. It becomes bigger than that. Like, is Affleck's Palace still around in Manchester? I don't even know anymore. But like, I only ever went there a couple of times. But that was like a massive, like, 6-story building, which was just full of everything like that goal that you're on about down at Vicarage.
Yes,
you know,
I know which one you mean.
You remember the
like
more
exchange.
That's the one. Unbelievable place. Tie whites, you'd have skate shops. Every fucking room were full of band merch. It's a different place. It's just, I think everyone's kind of looking for a home at the moment.
Yeah, I feel we don't realise just how important everyone's individual role is to keeping everything alive.
Can I just give a shout out to Lidl, please, for the Amber Rabbit? It is so good. It is so good. £3.83 this is for a 4-pack. I've fucking bought loads of them and they're very nice.
Mate, sorry, I'm diverting here, but they do a 5.4% IPA. It's 99p a can and it's just like punk. It's exactly the same.
Is that the one with the octopus on the cover?
The one with the octopus on the can, yeah. Beautiful.
You could have told me that about an hour and a half ago. I've just rushed back from fucking Lidl for this thing.
So you talked about the community there. Is your network? I know Jonesy's answer to that, but you know, the rest of you, is that network there? Are you talking to bands in the CST? Are you talking to bands in the 0161? Are you talking to bands in London?
Big time, the 0121 boys as well.
Well, you've got to get on with people, haven't you? You can be the best band in the world, and if people think you're a dickhead, they're not going to support you at your show. And it's, you know, the same way these independent people were talking about that skate shop. We would go and buy stuff from the skate shop, and, you know, hopefully the karma and the cycle's returned.
The one thing I will say that is very different to how it was 10 years ago is the fact that bands nowadays, I remember there were Leeway came over and played Temple of Boom, and there were a show put on over in Leeds. And Road Mutant opened up, and I'd never heard of Road Mutant before. And they just blew me away, man. They were just fucking ace. And I was just so excited the fact that I found another band which played the same sort of tunes that I have always played. But they were new, they were relevant. They'd come around, they broke up their own little scene, the little fucking spot down there. And then I heard about Inhuman Nature, which they've got like the coolest fucking art, man, like the sweetest guys as well. You know, when they split up here, I put them in an annex in fucking Thornhill. Sorry, boys. You got the boys in Overpower, StoneHand, Kingpin, the CST, like you said, Ill Vision down in Birmingham. There's just so many bands at the moment. I think everyone is drawn in. Sorry, got to remember drawn in. They've been doing it for years. They're fucking brilliant bands, and it's just amazing. Really, you start thinking about everyone coming together as a community. I think everyone's just so excited that there is like-minded people out there, and everyone's so supportive. Like, shit, we found another band, man. That, like, come on, boys, come and get involved in us, and come and get involved with what we're doing. it's not like how it used to be 10 years ago, which you won't want anyone invading on your turf. You don't want anyone invading on your 30 quid that you've got to make on a pair of fucking T-shirt sales and some shitty wristbands. You know what I mean? That has really improved. There is a really big community, and if you do get involved in it, you know, you can make some friends.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Paul, you do the Kings of Crossover show in Huddersfield, don't you? And,
Yeah.
With things at the minute, you know, so you got like the sort of big boys in our sort of genre, like Malevolence now, you know, and Higher Power, really sort of, you know, sort of paving the way almost. You know, we doing these Kings of Crossover shows. I don't see any reason why you couldn't host sort of like an all-dayer like Damnation. You know, it leads uni, like maybe not as big, but you know, if you've got someone like Malevolence to headline and some of the sort of smaller bands like us and you know, like Road Mutant and stuff like that to sort of play.
Sky's the limit, G. Sky's the limit, man. I would like to think that I could make this thing fucking soar. You know what I mean? I'm just keeping an eye out for bands coming over. I mean,
The only limitation of these things is getting that crowd there. And, you know, I mentioned earlier, sometimes you need to have a bit of a break to realise how much you miss things. I dare say everyone's heavy metal scene and punk scene relative is just going to come back boom, because we'll have all missed going out so much that it makes you realise, doesn't it? All them friends where I didn't go out and wanted to do this. You think, I wish I'd never turned down any invitation.
Agreed, man.
Do you think people remember in the long term, or do you think it will be like a, you know, we'll all charge over the top to get back to gigs, and then it'll all peter back out again? Because, you know, we're naturally fucking short-sighted dicks at times.
Never believed in charging for gigs, but I do believe in getting some money to at least pay for the fuel that the out-of-town bands have got. But
sorry, again, I didn't mean literally charging. I meant charges in fucking all the fans running into.
I'm so sorry.
God, yeah.
I'm so sorry. But
that's all right.
But yeah, stand by that. You know, how much money do you need to charge for a gig for it to look relevant? Is the right? I don't know if it's the right word. Legit. You know, do you offer it for free, and people think, it'd be shit 'cause it's free. But no, I think actually I could see 9 bands for free, and all I have to do is buy a few T-shirts and a few beers. I just charge 15 quid. It just worth it.
That's the problem with some promoters. Like, you get some promoters who want to put on a gig to, you know, because they like the music and they want the scene to develop. And you get other promoters who are doing it for the money. You know, they'll charge like 5-6 quid, maybe a tenner entry, and you know that they're doing that all because they want to make themselves, you know, a few hundred quid on a Saturday night or whatever.
You're making me laugh there, though, because he's charging 10 quid for people to come and watch us. Fuck me, they're being ripped off there by 9.5 quid, aren't they? You know what I mean? It's one of those. But you get a Municipal Waste playing at fucking Broodnell in Leeds. You're charging 20 quid. It just depends on the scale that you're talking. The King's Crossover, I'd like to really push it. I really want it to keep going. The idea was that it was going to be an annual show. Obviously, we've been a bit stuck with this, what's been going on. But just keep an eye out what the agents are offering, what bands are out there, and then just make your way down. Just try and put some bands on. Like the last one, I was so proud of the bands that I got on. Going Off, band from over in Manchester. That is their only show that they've ever played, and they are fucking awesome. I think they signed to an indie label now. They've got a distributor in America. Like those boys are just absolutely slaying it. And I got them to open it up. I feel tight getting them to open up that show. They played at 1:30. 1:30 in the afternoon. There were no one there in February. We're fucking silent it down. And they opened up. You know what I mean?
Listen, someone has to start WrestleMania every year. And, you know, it's a backhanded compliment. No one wants to be first, but you do first. You go on, you play your bastard set, you play the best you can, and like, right, come follow that in the nicest, most positive possible way.
And do you think is an all-dayer, you know, a kind of, whatever you want to call it, a mini festival, for want of a better term, is that the best approach? Is that what, you know, do you think a couple of big names draws people in?
Oh, hell yeah. But they were the best days, man. Like, well, actually, we all grew up around the City Fox. That place is so important. Thinking about it to my life, really, it is so important. The people I've met there, lifelong friends, all this has been built around it. But when we started going to I remember the first Full Thrash Assault where Enemy Unknown played, Headless Cross played, Spitful Rain, Mutant, Evil, and I'm sure Gamma Bomb played that show as well. Like, the amount of fucking bands that played that show were absolutely bonkers. And it was £7 entry. £7 fucking pound to go watch all of those bands. It's those were the days, man, where you absolutely you get pissed twice. You get fucking pissed by 3:30. You throw up all over yourself, go and have a fucking shitty pizza from next door, and then get pissed all over again. They were the best days that you'd ever do, and they're the only shows that I'm really interested in doing. Like those big events, the big old days. And I've got to say now, right, there's a couple of bands I've booked on my shows that I don't ever remember seeing. Like, I know they've played. I've heard that they did an awesome set and it were really good and they were really good attendance and they were crowd surfing and apparently I stage dive. That's why my shoulder hurts in the morning, but it's what it's all about, and it's all about fun at the end of the day.
Also, when you put on a gig, how do you narrow it down? We talk about all these, like, you know, if we're allowed to call them friends that we're blessed with. How do you put on a gig, make sure that you get the local support, and then narrow down your friends to just one other? That's what you put on an all day, and you just get all your mates down, all the stuff that you've been listening to and loving over the time. You just, have some of that.
Yeah, and obviously the Thrashosaurus was also going on at a similar sort of time, and that did a sort of similar thing in the kind of Norwich Ipswich area. They all seem to kind of petered away a little bit. Say again, mate.
In the Norfolk pocket.
High six local.
You had to get it in, didn't you, Gol? You couldn't help yourself, mate.
News.
Is that the plan? Is that bringing those back? Is that something you'd really like to do?
Yeah, just more Partridge quotes, really.
Say again, mate.
Just more Partridge quotes, and we'll be laughing.
Well, everyone remembers the Full Thrash Assaults of old. There were Dave and Luce that used to do it, and then Steve Lofting took over, and then Dave Ingham, RIP. But no one's taken over since. And to me, in my opinion, it should have probably gone to Gaz before it went to Steve all those years ago, because he was the king of thrash in West Yorkshire, our G-man right here.
I was grinding away because I just loved it. And
you lived and breathed that shit, man.
Yeah, it was just my escape from engineering.
Not the original Thrash Town business card you printed up. With a picture of your with your like flame Jackson Randy Rhodes and the little respirator on front of it as well.
Yeah, they were good times.
So, stepping out of reality for a moment, if there was one band you could support, who would it be?
Slayer.
I'd agree with that, guys. Straight up Slayer.
Yeah,
it'd be incredible.
Although it'd be rubbish without Jeff and Dave, but still, none would be able to take that away from me if I ever got that. That'd be, I could curl up and die then.
What about a UK band?
Are we talking bands that exist that are big, or bands that you never got to see, like the old 27 Club?
Yeah,
bring back one of these.
All of the above, really.
Oh
man, there's so many. UK bands like
before Max went bongos.
Yeah.
Don't you steal my joke, you fucker.
I did deny you had heard that somewhere. I'm so sorry.
UK band wise, I know I've gone off about my life, but I think I'd love to get on my live show just in general, especially at this time. Like, that's not a past thing, that's a future thing, because it's so much exposure. Because their fan base is fucking mad, and I think would fit really, really, really well.
Jim, do you know that me and Gol played with them in a fucking lockup in Huddersfield?
I know you did.
Wide.
Yeah,
I know you did.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
I've only been about 16. You were doing that, kid.
Do you think? I've had this conversation with Jonesy, but do you think the kind of the malevolences and things like that, how do you think they kind of relate to the older thrashers like myself? Because some of the bands that Jonesy's been pinging me links all week, go and take a listen to this, because I've got a whole set of music that has never really kind of crossed my palm, and although I listen to tons of new UK thrash bands, I don't kind of step far over the boundary. Is there a whole load of bands that we're not listening to because the pit killing, crowd killing stuff, and the karate in the pit and all that sort of nonsense?
I'm not very tolerant with that, I'll be honest with you. Not very tolerant.
I don't think anybody is, to be honest, mate. Crowd killing needs to fucking stop, to be honest.
Yeah. It's fucking daft.
I think what you're saying, Neil, you're right, man.
We do try to be each their own, don't we? But I just, what's more
Oh,
fun
right,
than running around and gently pushing?
I'll fucking eat you. Simple as that, lad. I don't give a fuck who you are.
I've never felt the need to test my strength and aggression and attack prowess on other people randomly. You know, just why?
Attack prowess.
I think within that, though, like with this crossover scene, there's some good and bad points to take from it. I mean, like, for me, the good points would be like, when I was a bit younger, you know, I loved, you know, the hardcore stuff, you know, because it was like, you know, less artsy, just like, you know, straight to the point. I also love like the thrash stuff, you know, like Testament or whatever, because it's got that, you know, obviously what thrash is, that sort of speed, that aggression, but it's also got like, you know, all the sort of other shit in the background, like the sort of fairy tale stuff. Whereas, you know, for me, the crossover thing, you know, it's bringing both of those together, you know, so you just get a good mix of both scenes, which and both music genres, which are very similar. You know, so it's just bridging that gap. So, you know, fans of hardcore and fans of thrash, they can find that other sort of step as well. You know, there's a bit more for everyone, like just broadening horizons. Well, the backside of that, like the downside of it, obviously, you get the thrash fans at shows who are dead against all that crowd killing stuff. And if some hardcore kid just starts spinning and, you know, eats him in face, he's going to see red and just, you know, it's going to go from crowd killing and pitting to actual, you know, people fighting and stuff, innit? So,
but that's also such a fucking brilliant thing, right? There's so many shows I go to. Agnostic Front's one. Like, you go there and you'll have your old school skinheads, you know, English Bride and all that shit going on, the fucking, the bulldog on the arm and all that. You'll have a lad there with bullet belt and fucking long hair and fucking some big fucking white trainers. You know, you have a lad there in a Judge t-shirt, straight edge. You know, it spans like that, which the unity, you need to, again, I cannot stress enough, it's a community, not a competition. And that's the thing. I think there's so many people which are missing out on awesome music because they just kind of sat in the little groove. And I know we all like what we like. I do listen to pretty much the same 20 bands I did 10 years ago. That's just how we all are as you know, as animals. But
yeah, it's almost like people choosing not to listen to a band because, you know, there might be some stigma attached to it or something like, oh, I'm not going to listen to them because someone might think I'm, you know, a bit fucking, you know, weird or whatever. But if you're into it and you like it, yeah.
How many movies have you not seen because someone that you know said it was shit and then you watched it 10 years later and it's fucking awesome?
Yeah.
It's the same thing applies. You know, I mean, it's exactly the same thing applies.
I wonder if it's human nature. If you look at the old black metal documentaries and they're talking about, well, you know, the black metal elitists, if you didn't look a certain way and listen to the right bands, you know, you weren't part of it. Then we all want that sense of belonging.
Exile the elite. That is the way forward.
I think there's still a lot of that elitism about nowadays. Like, definitely, you know, there's definitely some people around, you know, like Huddersfield and Leeds and that who are definitely, you know, if they're all, you know, dressed in the black leather and, you know, black metal and that, and if you turn up like someone like me with short hair and a fantastic beard, and then you're going to get, you know,
hair and a fantastic beard. How about that one, eh? That one's pretty tough to fucking beat.
Image, like, you know, sort of prejudice about image. Like, I mean, look, I'm wearing a Tog 24 shirt right now. I'm watching rugby. You know, so there's nothing metal about what I'm doing right now. You know, if I turn up at a gig like this, people are going to, you know, turn their nose at me and be like, oh, who's this guy? But, you know, you dig deeper below the surface and, you know, you break down those barriers and those boundaries and get to know people. You know, it's what's in your heart, innit? Not what's on your fucking sleeve or what t-shirt you
you
wear.
just remind me of a little story then. Let me just go a little tangent. Remember when we played Burnley all those years ago, Blood, Sweat and Beer? We played Steps twice.
Sanctuary Rock Bar.
Yeah, what to do. We had a band
on those.
I can't remember the name.
Sorry? Remember, I got levered on those Cherry Bakewell shots that were a quid a go, though.
Yeah, you moved me down fucking M62 at Wyoming, you fucker. Yeah, all right, dude. Do you remember the name of that band that opened up for us?
I can't know.
Well, I remember their singer. He came over to me after the show. He says, mate, you guys are fucking awesome. Like, thank you for coming down to Burnley. We don't have bands like this, blah, 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 blah. So cool to have another thrash band that we didn't know about. He says, where's your guitarist? He says, what are you on about? He says, your guitarist with long hair with undercut. He's having a smoke, I think. He goes, I need to go and ask him how he does his hair. I'm like, how he does what? He's got a right sick undercut and I want an undercut. I'm like, dickhead, I had a fucking undercut. I did his fucking undercut before fucking I went bald. Don't you fucking dare prejudice me towards me, you fucker. Could have eaten the little bastard. So So there's an image thing, yeah, definitely. So going back to that, that's definitely an image thing.
But again, there have been for a lot of years. Pantera talks about that. All of a sudden, there were a singer with cargo shorts on, like the hardcore image, playing the heavy metal. You know?
Yeah, man.
It's always been there. You know, I mean, I was saying the first ever gig I went to was a Suicidal Tendencies and Cerebral Fix gig. You know, and the crowd there was a mix of Mohican punks with clogs on, sat on each other's shoulders, spinning around, and you know, loads of people in 1988 with high-tech slammers and bullet belts and Anthrax t-shirts. You know,
oh my God, I'm born.
It's always been there. But at the moment, you've got people coming back. You know, my age. You know, I'm 50 next year.
You don't look it.
Who've taken kind of like 30 years out, not 30 years out, but, I mean, I did exactly the same as you. Mid 92, 93, I kind of drifted away a little bit and still listened to music, but wasn't as involved because I had, young kids, and you come back later on with more time on your hands. But I go to gigs now and I drag mates along, and my mates have all got, none of us have got long hair anymore. Most of the time they're wearing a pair of, Levi's and a pair of, trainers they've got from fucking Topshop. Also,
the love never dies, does it?
Is that stigma still there, or is it just in that little core pocket that the kids at the front who think they're fucking better than everybody?
From what I'm aware of, I never see the people at the front as thinking they're better. I think sometimes it's a bit more youthful energy, a bit more feckless and less of an awareness that they might possibly get hurt, and it might be hurting them for a few years afterwards. But I find that as people get older, maybe they're just a bit more inclined to stand it back and bang their heads to it, and that is great. If everyone stood and did that at the bits they wanted to, and then slowed it down, it'd be fantastic. I think
and then grab people's phones and take it off them and fucking throw it.
Yeah. I think with heavy metal, it's like being a nicotine addict, isn't it? It's always there within you.
Oh, 100%.
It's always there within you. Just one reigniting and boom, you're right back at square one. You're having enough brandies and you'll be at the front.
You're Dutch courage.
Watch the stage sides. Don't fucking jump on the smallest guy in the room like I did. That fucker hurt, man. Don't know how he felt, but it fucking hurt when I landed on him. Jesus Christ, like
felt fine because he just moved out of your way.
Parting of the waves. His fat fucker's not landing on me.
Hey, watch it, you cheeky stud.
Right. Finally, do you want to pimp yourselves out? Where can people hear the music, find you online, and all that other sorts of buy your merch when you've got some again and everything else?
We've got plenty of merch for sale at the moment. We've just still got stuff ticking over on Bandcamp. You can follow us on Instagram. It's Sidewinder_BC, or on Facebook. Just usual places. We're always out fucking making ourselves known, fucking talking to people and fucking pushing shit, pushing other bands, pushing shows that we've been to before. We are. People out there, especially UK Thrashers group, probably know exactly who we fucking are. Check out his tunes. We've got stuff on Spotify. Just
videos on YouTube.
What's going on? Oh yeah, there's a video that was pushed out by Hardcore Worldwide. That was like a boyhood dream of mine to be on fucking Hardcore Worldwide.
Yeah, man.
That were awesome that they pushed us. They were really, really cool to be involved with those boys. There's a lot of really, really good bands on that.
Perfect. Guys, thanks for spending some time with us. I look forward to your next release, and hopefully after all this pandemic bullshit passes, I can find you in the middle of Yorkshire for a fucking dirty pint and a mosh pit.
Of course you can, mate. You know where we are.
We're going to get Lincolnshire.
And thanks
for that little quote, tequila's on Golly.
Yeah, tequilas are on Gollick, yeah, they are. I've heard that as well.
Thanks so much to you for your time, and also for pushing the UK scene like you do with your podcast. And,
man, big up what you're doing, Neil.
That's a round of applause, Neil, for what you do, buddy.
Yeah, thank you very much. Really appreciated.
Thanks, lads.
Yes, UK Thrashers, this is Chris from Trapped in Purgatory, and you're listening to the UK Thrashers radio show. Get in the pit!
A raucous hour spent there with Sidewinder BC. Looking forward to new tracks from them later in the year, but in the meantime, here's Slut Drop.
pretentious, horrendous. False pretenses, you are sick, don't you know it? You're the fooling bit, don't you show it? Why are you not caught into hiding? Why are you proud to say about it? False pretenses, fake. False pretenses, incompetent. False pretenses, reckless. False pretenses, tedious. False pretenses, horrendous. False pretenses, how can you keep on overspending? How are you having keep on letting? When will you done it, you'll keep begging. When will this come to an ending?
This one goes out to all them fake folk out there. Been all time, living a champagne lifestyle and lemonade wages. They got a little, do a big shot with a Mulberry handbag. What are you playing at?
From Yorkshire to Brighton, this is showing just how stable and how strong the UK crossover scene is. This is StoneHand and Blamed.
Watch your
Okay, taken from their 2019 album Reaction, this is our International Band of the Week. From Malaysia, this is Exothermix and Thrash Mentality. that's it. We're going to wrap up this episode. We're going to play you one final track. But in the meantime, thank you to Sidewinder BC for joining us on the show. Thank you to you guys for listening. Thanks to all the bands who let us use their music. We're going to finish off with Inhuman Nature and Master of Souls. See you next week.
Follow me for the darkest realm.